Buying and selling properties, navigating the market, investment strategies, and more. Unlock the secrets to our success in the real estate game. This is Owning Realty.
Hey guys, welcome back to Owning Realty. And I am Lindsay West.
I am Tamika Bullock-Carter.
And I am Tristan O'Donnell.
There you go.
Yep, and we are all realtors here in Atlanta, Georgia. We cover the entire state of Georgia, so, don't forget that part. But today's episode, we're going to get straight into it. Today's episode is how to flip a house for beginners. And this episode is cool because we haven't really talked about investing.
We have to give the investors some love.
We do.
Real estate is one of the
truest ways
to
get wealth.
to get wealth. So how do you do that besides just owning a home?
Right.
And so we're going to talk about that today.
So these are one of the ways. This is one of the ways. And let's get into it. Let's define what flipping is, right? Because for the person who just doesn't know, flipping is, I'll take it. Flipping is when you purchase a house, maybe a distressed property or a property that's lower than market value, and you put some TLC into it to enhance the property and make it better, and then you sell it for a profit. That's kind of like the general, would everybody agree with that? That's the general theme of what flipping is, okay? So let's now talk about the process. We've all flipped a house or two.
Right.
And everybody's process can kind of be a little different, but there are some key, linear things that everybody's going to pretty much do.
Right.
My first advice would be to start with an easy one. And by easy, I mean, don't find something that is almost a complete tear down.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to be learning everything this first go round. Find something that is a cosmetic flip that needs a kitchen, maybe one wall taken down, maybe some flooring and some bathroom love.
Light work.
Don't get into something that needs doors, foundation, second floor added. That's just my advice.
Yeah.
Right. We've done it all, and there's so much you learn just in the first part of just doing the basics that's going to carry you to each phase, because we've all done just cosmetic stuff,
Right.
but the other stuff that were big could have killed us in the first go round.
Yes.
There's so many surprises when you pick something like that.
Yeah, I think one of the first things you need to do as a flipper is build a team.
Yes.
I think a lot of times people say, I want to flip, but they don't even know a plumber.
Right.
Right.
Or a painter,
Right.
you know? So it's very important to kind of gather up all your pieces, you know? And that's going to be a general contractor. If you find a great general contractor that's affordable, lock him down.
Yes.
Get an electrician, get a plumber, get a roofer, get a framer, get somebody who can do the tile, who can do, all the granite, who can do the cabinets. You have to find all of your people, right? The HVAC, all of the things.
Yeah. Yes.
Have them in a little pot, waiting for you, basically, right? And make sure you have to start building a relationship with those people. And so it's kind of good to kind of start sewing into them early. Like maybe if you have something small at your house that you need them to do, let them do it.
Absolutely.
And get them, kind of get a vibe, because I really think the team part of this is the most important part of flipping.
It's one of the areas where people lose the most amount of money.
Right.
Because of
their
the team.
isn't
The team isn't a team.
The team isn't a team.
ain't teaming.
The team ain't
The team
teaming.
ain't teaming. It's a la carte.
It's a la carte. And they running off on the plug. You know what I'm saying? They're running off on the plug.
They are.
So if you don't have any trust in your team, work ethic,
That's huge.
just an overall general consensus for the job.
Yeah.
Like you have to be down for the cause.
Like you said, building a relationship with your contractors.
And even taking that even a step back would be getting someone who's done this before, a mentor, someone that lets you know, no, you don't do flooring before you do paint.
Right.
Everything's all out of order, and you're
Right.
spending more money.
Right.
Because now you have to
just
go back
going
and do them.
backwards.
I had a client, I was going to manage his renovation to get it ready for the market, and he decided to do it, which is fine. I'd still there helping, picking out finishes.
Yeah.
Right.
But one of the things he did first was paint the porches and the decks. And you're like, wait, you're going to have tile people in here. You're going to have painters in here. Everyone's just going to come
Plumbing,
through.
everybody's gonna
Now
come
you've
through,
painted this
dragging their
deck.
feet.
And at the
you're
end
gonna
of it,
you're going to be repainting.
it was a mess. And I was like, why would that be the first thing? You're just excited and you want to get something done.
Yep.
But make sure you know your order. Make sure you have a mentor
Right.
that can
It's like
talk you
vacuuming.
through the order. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So next thing I think we should all be thinking about is secure your financing. Let's talk about the money. The money is something that is just so you can't do nothing without the money.
Right.
Okay?
Whether it's the money to buy it, the money to renovate it, the money to
doing anything.
whatever.
Yes.
You need the money.
Your money for your down payment, like
All
all
of
of
it.
those things.
Yes.
So one of the things I like to think of, some people have cash, right?
Right.
Some people could buy a house cash and they can renovate it with their own cash.
Yeah.
They can do all of those things.
luxury.
That's
It's
a luxury.
Major luxury.
Big time luxury.
'cause that
And
was-
that's just not the case for everybody. For us, for me, it wasn't. I didn't get that luxury of having the cash to buy the house. Not on the first time. Shoot, not on the
Not
not
now.
anytime.
Let's be clear.
Let's be very clear. But finding the financing. And so there's different types of financing that you
Right.
can get where you don't have to use, even if you do have the money, I like to use the bank's money because it just
Other
takes
people
all that
leverage it.
liability off of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And so you want to find either a private money lender, a hard money lender, which kind of can be the same things.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do conventional financing, but it's just
Way more down payment.
yes.
Especially because then you may, even if you do the conventional financing, you may have to pay for the renovation yourself.
Right.
Whereas if you do a hard money lender, they're going to purchase the home for you and they're going to take care of the renovation for you from the loan.
Right.
And the
Yes,
only thing
all
you
of
have
it.
to worry about is your down payment,
You know
right?
what I love about the hard monies are they have an option to not make monthly payments, to
Yes.
not have
Oh my
that
God.
And
as
do
you're
yourself that favor.
yeah,
Yes.
as you're going through this and making decisions and buying things and doing all that. The last thing you want to do is thinking
Make
about
a
every
mortgage
month
payment.
making a payment, and once it's done and it's on the market making a payment.
Right.
You just add that into your budget, the interest, the
Yes.
paying it on the back end.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a freedom of that, and
Right.
I feel like everyone
There's
should
so much
have
freedom in that.
Yes.
Yeah. There's so much freedom. And so we work with lenders who allow you to do that, who allow you to wrap those costs in. And it's so important.
Yes.
All right. Let's go on to the next thing.
Let's talk about the comps.
The comps.
yes.
What are
What are
comps?
comps?
What are comps?
What are comps?
So comps, or AKA comparables, are homes that are, selling in a neighborhood that are similar in size, price, and condition. They're normally going to be they're the last sold in the last 6 months, and they're normally within a mile radius of the subject property or the property that you're considering to purchase,
Yes.
right?
Right.
So those are our comps, AKA comparables.
So you want to know what it's worth, like what you bought it for,
Right.
And then what it's worth after,
Right.
Because if you bought it for 100 and it's only worth 150, but you have to put 100 into it, well,
Then
that just
that's
doesn't
not a-
make
you're
sense.
not gonna make any
That's not a
money.
good purchase.
And that's where it comes in with the ARV.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
So the ARV is the after rehab value.
Yep.
Right?
And so you need the comp,
yeah,
and you need comps, and you need to know what that helps you kind of formulate the after repair value, what the home will be worth after you renovate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the mistakes that I see investors make is, well, there's two of them in this comp situation. Number one, they are basing all of their numbers on the best case scenario.
Right.
You never want to be best case scenario.
Right.
You need to be
They should-
conservative.
yes, be conservative. Don't
Yes.
shoot for the stars. You want to make money and you're going to make money.
Yeah.
But base that on a worst case scenario. So that's a mistake I see. They're like, "Ooh, this house sold for 800,000." Then
But
that's what
it
mine's
has
gonna sell for.
all
But
the
they also
bells
don't
and
realize,
whistles.
yes,
Right.
it's not a comparable.
It's not a real comparable.
Other mistake I see people do is, well, two more.
We have a
is-
few.
Yes, there's mistakes. Don't make these mistakes. Is they go outside of a mile radius.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, if you're looking at my house and Lindsay's house, we live 2 or 3 miles away, like you are going to look at both of our houses.
Right.
But an appraiser, and what it comes down to in the bottom line, when you sell at the end of the day, is what an appraiser and says the value is, and they can only go within a mile radius.
Right.
And the appraiser is going to be conservative.
Yes.
Very,
Very.
very.
So you might as well learn to be the conservative too, because you just have to.
Right.
And also being able to, like you said, knowing, are they true comps?
Right.
Right.
Like I can't stress that enough. Like, you can't,
You can't. Yes, it's hard to explain. You have
I'm
to
sorry.
know what is a true comp.
You have to know what a true comp is.
And that's the good thing about using an agent to help you pull these. I've had people say, I looked on Zillow and this is what it's worth, or I've looked at comps on Zillow.
Yes,
They don't have all the information.
Yes.
So you really want an agent to help you because they're going to know that one street over from the street you're buying is a worse or better street and not want to use that as a comp. You know, across the street, one street over
Could
is
be a whole nother
neighborhood,
place.
That's right.
but it's within a mile. So it's important that part of your, when we say get your team,
Right.
is an agent that knows how to run comps, that knows how to tell you this is the floor plans that are not selling. This is what you should and should not do.
Right.
In
You should
order
be
to,
partnering up.
yes,
Yeah, you should be
absolutely.
partnering
That's
up.
number one. Really.
That's
Right.
number
I don't
one.
think we even,
And also, guys, the comps change.
Yes,
they
they
change
do.
throughout the process when you're renovating
Especially
these
if you
homes.
held it for a year.
That's
Yes.
right. So you've got to keep
even
up
6
with
months.
that.
6 months.
That
That's
6
right.
month comp that was
That's
there is
right.
no longer within that time
Absolutely.
frame.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So be conservative on your ARV. Now, there is a formula that hard money lenders tend to use, and it's a general, and it has to do with your ARV, right?
Right.
So it's normally ARV, and look, I have to look at my notes. It's ARV, which is your after repair value, times 70% minus the renovation cost, and that will help you determine how much you can purchase the house for. You can offer on the house, right, that you're trying to get. So if you stay within this formula, what happens is you end up staying within the formula for the private or the hard money lender, and they're going to more than likely approve the process. Of course, if all your financial pieces come together and make sense as well. But that's their kind of like general thing that they use to determine if this is a good deal or not a good deal.
Right.
Is it too risky? Is it not? You know, is it conservative?
Right.
So these are the things that you want to consider. Definitely get familiar with that formula. It's a formula that you should memorize. You keep in your head, and when you're driving around looking at houses, consider that in your mind.
Yeah.
And my clients, and I'm sure we all do this,
Yeah.
and even for ourselves when we do this, it's running here's the best case and worst case scenario. Here's your high, your medium, your low.
Your low.
And I look at it like my high is interest rates are low. We got 20 offers. We're above asking. We came under budget.
Yes.
My low is the market has dropped and we have to give this house away to not lose ourselves.
Right.
So have that in your mind. And then the happy medium. Be prepared and know and plan for all of that. And that's important.
Yeah.
Being over budget, being under budget.
Because all the things,
Budget is
the budget
also
shakes
a
up.
mistake. People
Yes.
forget things in their budget. They forget
Oh,
the light bulbs.
Yes.
You have to buy light
That's a
bulbs
part
for
of the
all these
budget.
fixtures.
Yes.
The staging.
The
Yes.
staging.
Not always does the your agent pay for staging. That is part of it. The interest. Some people
The
forget
interest.
to add
The interest. Yes.
or they say, "Oh, I'm going to have it for 2 months," when you probably should
Have it
be
for 6
anticipating
months.
for 6 months. So anticipate in your budget
Anticipation.
for worst case scenario.
Yes.
Having contingency because someone
Having
may
a budget contingency.
break in and take something.
Yes.
Something may break.
So
A
normally
window.
we hold like a 10% at least
Yes.
minimum, a 10% reno contingency. So say if the rental budget is 100 grand, then we're holding back so it's really 110 grand, but we hold that back.
Right.
And we don't you of course never tell your contractor that you have a contingency budget. You tell them that you got 90 when it's 100.
Right.
yes.
Sorry, contractors, don't.
No, sorry.
But
not-
but you never disclose that. That's a rookie
Yeah.
move, to say, yeah, I got 110. You let them know that it's dire and they need to
Yeah.
kind of they need to be really tight on their numbers, right?
Speaking of, you should have a contract. I mean, I'm thinking of all the mistakes that people have made.
Yeah.
Right.
You should have a contract. It holds people accountable. It holds the contractors accountable. You can see their numbers. You don't have to go back and they're like, I told you 10. And you're like, you told me 8. And we're like, well, nobody remembers. Like, it's important to when you begin to do all
do
the
it
things
right.
right. Now we know our people.
Yeah.
We have shortcuts. I already know what they're charging. Send me
already
a
know.
text. It's good. But you're starting out, and this is all about beginners. and you
Beginning
need
and
to
building your
start
foundation.
out doing it right.
Yeah.
What about the scope of work?
So yeah, that is important.
With the scope of work that the contractor's giving you this bottom line price when they are saying, let's say it's
Make
going to
sure
be
it's
100,000.
complete.
What's included in that 100,000?
Everything that's supposed to be done as it relates to the property.
But make
Right,
sure
but
it
I'm
does.
talking about like in terms of the material. Is it A level, B level, C level, like, you know.
Yeah,
what
so
I'm saying?
picking out your finishes
That's
ahead of
what I mean,
time.
the finishes,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
Because
And that's
that
all
is
part
a
of the ARV.
that
If
is the
you
ARV.
choose,
Right.
carpet in the bedrooms, but everything else has
wood
hardwood,
floor, you
you're
can't do that.
setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
And again, that's what an agent knows. They know the area. They're like, you should not do carpet.
You should not.
You're setting yourself below everybody else's
Yes.
quality.
right.
Yeah.
So as a beginner though, like level 1, 2, 3, like they may think that they're getting level 2 or 3 when the contractor's really saying this is what you
Right?
get.
Know what you're getting.
Know what you're getting. That's my whole point.
Yeah.
Like know what you're getting.
Yeah, you should be.
What's
you should be a part
included.
of that design process.
Yeah.
You know, I think just to kind of, I think I see what you're saying is like, you need to know you just need to know your project. You need to know from
Yeah.
0 to 100 what you're gonna do to this project to make it a comp, right?
And I say don't let contractors pick finishes. I think
right.
they're in a contractor mind
Mindset.
frame.
Yes.
They're not in a real estate, a sell. There are things we've done where we're like, we want to do this brick thing on the wall and
Yes, the fireplace
They're
in
like, it doesn't
Belmont.
make sense. Or they'll say no because
Right.
they will say it can't be done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lindsay and I did a property together and we knew a gas stove was important.
Very.
And the contractor was like, it's not
impossible.
possible. And I am, nothing's impossible.
Nothing is impossible.
It's not impossible. There's a gas line out there. We know all these homes had it.
Right.
He just was ready to get done with it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
He was,
right.
was amazing. But we knew what was needed, and we got a gas line in
Yeah,
there. So,
certain areas you just can't put in an electric
Yeah.
stove. I think an electric stove really hurts in a lot of
things like that.
Little
The
things like that
agents
people
know
don't
that
think
your
about.
team
Yeah.
knows.
Yes.
Every team member has their specifics, and picking out gas versus electric is not the contractors. It's the agent. It's the knowing the area. It's their expertise.
And I think what I want to say is, don't let people tell you how you're going to do something. You have to like really stand up for
Yeah.
yourself. You have to really advocate for yourself. And first of all, know what you're trying to do, see it, but don't let everybody tell you like, this is, just do this, just do that. Or like, don't just take one answer, do your research, do your
Yes.
homework, like realize like, is this a true statement? Like if he had told us no gas line and we had no experience prior,
Right.
we probably would have been like, okay, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
But knowing that we've been through so many things,
It can be done.
absolutely, it can be done. And to get that second opinion, get that third opinion to make sure that it can or cannot be done.
Because we're talking about beginners.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they wouldn't know that,
Yes.
right? So
They
for
wouldn't
me,
know.
When I first started out, I purposely worked with an agent that has done this before.
Yes.
Because I knew nothing
That
about
Yes.
it.
was the best of both worlds.
Yes, exactly.
An agent,
Yes.
knows
An
the market,
agent and a
that's
flipper.
done it.
And a
Yeah.
flipper, and they've done it before.
All in
because
one
the
place.
beginners are not going to know that. They're excited
Yeah.
that they're even flipping in the first place. So they're going to take
wanna paint
every,
something pretty.
Yep.
they're going to hang on to every word that the contractor has.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have to have a personality as well
Yes.
as a
Flipper.
a flipper to make quick decisions. Sometimes they're like, oop, this just happened. What do you want us to do? And the answer is not always the cheapest because that's going to turn around and bite you in the end.
Right.
Yep.
So you need to be able to make quick decisions.
Yeah.
Do what's right. I say that because a lot of flippers are just in it for, I'm flipping a house.
Yes.
And I flipped a house. But not doing the right thing and selling a house that you feel proud of that somebody else is going to get. So be cautious and conscious that you are selling somebody something they're going to live in with their family. So don't make shitty decisions. Bleep.
Right. Because we've seen them.
We've seen them. So
Do right. Do
right.
Be nice. And do the right thing.
do the right thing. Because
right
your
thing.
name is on the line
Yeah.
and you're going to be flipping more houses and people start to tie you in, especially when you get into certain neighborhoods. You know how our neighborhoods do. They will post it on the Facebook neighborhood group and say, ooh, such and such contractors flipping the house on da-da-da-da. You know how he did 123 Banana Street. He gonna rip this one to shred, And so so you also want to keep a good name for yourself because people are
right.
going to know your work.
right. Right.
We can get it. That's a little spiritual. I can get in. I can jump into that. But let's get into, now that we got the money, we know how to evaluate the comps.
Yes.
We have done our, we've done our ARV. We got our renovation budget. Now, where do we find the deals?
Lots of ways.
There's lots of ways. Tristan.
Okay, so obviously there's the MLSs.
Yes.
But everyone's on the MLSs. And there's nothing wrong with those. We've
Yeah.
found deals.
We've have
on
found
MLS.
deals.
It's a little bit of word of mouth as well. There
Yeah,
are
it
investor
is.
groups in your city that share deals.
Yes.
There are cohorts that
Yes.
share deals. I think you have to think outside the box in order to get the best
Deals.
deal. You gotta negotiate.
You do. And you also need to get with potentially a wholesaler.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Learning and there's wholesalers for different areas typically too. Like, there's some who really know a particular area. And, there's some that are a little bit more generalized, but finding a great wholesaler that you can trust.
Right.
One that's not, going to scam. But even when you're working with those type of people, I can't stress to you how you have to do your homework.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a person come to me and say, I want to flip a house. I said, what are you looking for? How much profit are you looking to make? What is your buy box? How expensive do you want the house to be like after it sells? Because certain houses are harder to sell based on price alone. And
Just
so
because the house is 30,000 doesn't mean, ooh, let's do this. It could be
the
a bit-
Yes. It could be the highest comp
Yes.
in the neighborhood. That's going to be a harder sell.
Yes.
If selling a $500,000 house takes longer than selling a $200,000 house. You know what I mean? So understanding like there's a range and what do you really want to sign yourself up for? Selling $1 million home, it's going to sit longer than selling a $300,000 home.
Right.
So you really have to be doing your work. I just can't stress that enough. Like you have to do your homework.
Yes.
Flipping is cool. It's fun once it's done and pretty.
Yes.
But that
It's stressful.
journey,
You
It
have
is.
to be-
It's very
that journey through it is
Yeah.
intense. And if you have dropped the ball in any area, it will reveal itself and embarrass you.
You have to be able to keep calm and carry on
Yes.
and work through all of it and not take anything personal and just be prepared.
It's
just
a lot.
Be prepared.
Be prepared.
And maybe get yourself a
Mentor? Is that
a
what you're gonna say?
mentor, or a
Mentor.
partner.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't want to be leading the blind, but the blind don't want to be leading the blind. But I do think that, especially if it's your first one, you probably should, like how you did, you
Yes.
need a partner. We did too. When we first did our first flip, we partnered up with someone who was a realtor and was a
my
flipper.
first
You did
one.
too.
Yes.
See,
Yeah.
see.
That's how you learn.
That's how you learn.
Yes.
And you think about it from that perspective, and we ended up learning so much in that process. But you also have somebody to carry the load with you
Yes.
Right.
when something comes up in the deal, like, oh snap, we didn't realize that the electrical panel was completely shit.
Right.
We need to get a whole new electrical panel. That's $5,000, and you got to come up with $5,000, right?
Right.
Now you have a partner you can split that
that
$5,000 with. It just changes everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think finding someone that you can trust, that you can work with, and you both can do it together is a great option to get started.
Yep.
All right?
Yep.
You need to have another exit strategy because the houses don't always sell. Can I get
Amen.
the houses? I don't care. Sometimes you could do all the right things.
Yeah.
You could do everything. You could check every T, dot every I, and guess what? The market decided to show its ass.
You just always need a plan B.
You got to have a plan B, a C.
Yeah.
XYZ. Yeah. So maybe can you hold this property as a rental if it doesn't sell, right?
Yes.
Can we turn it into an Airbnb,
Right.
Yes.
right? If it doesn't sell, what else can you move into it for yourself?
Right.
Is it somewhere that you would live?
Yeah.
Right.
Having some different options as an exit strategy so that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket
right.
and hoping that it sells because sometimes it won't sell.
And that's why having that like high, medium, low, my plan exit XYZ is I already accounted for this. I already know
Yes.
if I need to sell it and I make no money, I don't lose money, but I just need to get rid of it,
Right.
or I need to walk away with $5,000. That is my low,
Exit.
and I have that in a plan.
Yes.
And my investors, we make sure they have that in their plan,
Right.
to get rid of it, like you said, rent it,
Something.
sell it,
Airbnb, peer space,
something.
turn it into a wedding event space.
Just don't lose your money. Don't
Just
lose
don't
out.
try not to lose your money, you know? Anyway, we can't cover everything in one episode, but I do want to recap over everything, right?
Yes.
So first, you want to build your team,
Yes.
okay? And that means getting an agent.
Yeah.
Getting an agent, finding your contractors, all the different subs, and decide on how you want to do that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So second,
Secure financing.
okay,
Yes.
secure financing.
Yeah.
Finding your hard money team, your money team, the money team. What is
money
it?
team.
Hey. So you want to have at least those three things: an agent, a hard money lender, loan
Yes.
officer,
Yes.
whatever, and you want to also have a contractor or your subs. Third, we want to go ahead and
Analyze and run comps. Start
Period.
looking at example properties.
Yes.
Start out with just one that's a example.
Yes.
And do a test run
Run.
before you get into this. But have your agent run comps.
Right.
Know what kind of finishes need to be done, like an idea, to know that you are going to be able to sell it for what you need to
Yes.
make money.
Yes. And I think practicing running the numbers. You got to practice running the numbers,
Yes.
even with no houses, right? You just run numbers, run numbers, run numbers. And so that way, because what's the other thing we didn't even mention is when you go look at the house, you don't have a lot of time to make a decision on if this house works.
No.
Sometimes you have to make a decision on the spot and turn in that earnest money to hold that place immediately because there's 10 people at the door looking at it with you.
Right.
Yes.
So you don't have time to go back and say, oh, I got to go run my numbers, be back next week.
Yeah, no.
I know you. So you won't be back next week because there would have been 10 people in front of you that got that house. So you got to practice your numbers. So when you see something, you know immediately the numbers work. This is for me.
Yep.
Right? All right. Next on the list is find the deals.
Yes.
Find the deals.
Finding deals.
Find out where you're going to get your deals from, whether it be a wholesaler, other off-market options, working with other investors, other agents. Your agent might have some off-market options. Get to know your neighbors if you want to flip in your neighborhood. There might be somebody sitting up underneath your nose that wants to get rid of a house and doesn't know what to do. Okay? And then finally, when you get the house, get that rental budget clean.
Yeah.
You know, get a set of eyes on it to look at the house, make sure it's going to sell for what you think it is, and you know how much money you have to put into it, the finishes and all the things.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. Then you get that baby buttoned up and put a ribbon on it for the market with an agent.
With an agent. An agent that's seasoned. That's done that before.
So again, this episode, there's a lot we could go into.
Yeah.
We could be here all day.
Part two.
We should do a part two.
Yes.
Yeah. And maybe we can do a deal breakdown of one of our
that would be
deals,
great.
right?
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
good.
So anyway, guys, stay tuned. Thank you so much for your time today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star rating and tell people how you like it. Share with everyone. And if you have any questions, slide into our DMs, send us messages, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
See you later.